Hey everyone. I thought I'd kind of do a little bit of a non-spoiler review on a story series at DeviantArt that not one, not two, but several writers, fan fiction writers, have contributed to since its inception. It even has a group at DeviantArt, and it's known as Trust Machines. Yeah, that's the name of the group, but that's also known as the title for the series, for the story series. And you're probably wondering, well, what is Trust Machines? What is he talking about? Well, Trust Machines is basically a story about a machine, sort of like a vending machine, that allows people to get turned into whatever they want to be. And it all depends on how much they pay and how long they want to be in that form, and also when they want the form to wear off, even if they're not near the Venn machine as it's known in the story. Now, like I say, Trust Machines is done by several writers: Clancy88, Grape, Sir Ryder, and several others. And sometimes it's usually the same concept: friends or family, boyfriend or girlfriend, wife or husband, whatever. They get together, go to a vending machine close to where they live, and most of the times the vending machines are, located in shopping malls. I had to drink some coffee there. Like I say, sometimes they're located in shopping malls. Depending on the location of the story, sometimes they're located at beach resorts. They're located at overall resorts that are non-beach, if you will. Sometimes they're located at universities, even high schools, and sometimes they're, casinos, and sometimes they're even located. Sometimes they're even located in the middle of nowhere. Sometimes at some rundown motel or some kind of, well, not rundown motel or hotel, but something around that range, sort of like one of those average small hotels or motels, sort of like a duplex kind of hotel, motel, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes they're even located there. And like I said, it all depends on who's writing the story and the location of the story. So anyway, what Trust Machine is basically, like I say, a story that's main focus is on a machine called the Venn machine. And the term that the characters use in this story is vend. That's basically the term they use when anybody uses the machine. Now, what's unique about this is it takes two people to use this machine. One to operate the controls. It takes one person on one side to operate the buttons and everything, and it takes another, the person that wants to be vend or transformed, shapeshift, to be on the other side. And then sometimes it takes three, maybe one that's not participating, to change the other so they can be with the one that just got vend or transformed before them. And sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's really fun. It's really interesting to read, depending, like I said, on who's writing. Some of the stories do have different genres in them. Like they have romance in there, of course. That's one of the main things I've seen. Sometimes they do have drama, romantic drama. Sometimes they base themselves in fantasy. In other words, I think there's one story where people play out an RPG using the Venn machine. Sometimes it's a bit of a drama, comedy, or comedy overall. Like there's one instance where a music teacher, there's one story when a music teacher wants to get the best out of his students musically, so he kind of makes up some kind of deal, gets the permission of the parents to where the kids will become very musical, but by doing so, they'll be turned into musical instruments. Yeah, I know, sounds kind of weird. And then, of course, like I say, you have your romantic comedies, which are very funny, and so on and so forth. And like I said, it all depends on the writer and the characters they use and the locations they use. Clancy88, and I want to thank Grape for this reference because she referenced this to somebody else who was suggesting, like a lot of us, ideas for the What Dreams May Become Transformation-thon chapter, or chapters in this case, which were 5 and 6. But basically, this one person suggested a microscopic bacteria transformation, and she was okay with it, but she had also said that her friend Clancy88 had done the same thing as part of the Trust Machine series. So she provided the link, I clicked on it, and basically, overall, what happens is you have this group of doctors that went to a Venn machine, and ironically, the female doctor allowed herself to get venned into microscopic bacteria. And this is what I was talking about in the previous audio video when I was talking about the anatomy or the instincts of being in a different form becoming inferential. Well, basically, when this female doctor is in this form, she starts letting this new form, this microscopic bacterial form, start to influence her. Its instincts, she basically allows its instincts to start influencing her to the point that, yeah, she knows who she is. She knows why she's doing this. She has everything. She basically is still herself, but because she's in this form, she decides, you know what? I'm not a doctor anymore. I'm not even who I am anymore. I'm this. I'm a bacteria. I'm now this name of a bacteria. And she basically, from her point of view, gives herself a name and starts referring to herself as an it or a they, because, with microscopic bacteria, she kind of starts spreading and multiplying. I mean, she even has a line towards the end before she gets restored, and that's a bit of spoilers, she does get restored, to where she says, because she gets so into this, she's like, I am Legion, just try to stop me. Because she spreads out and multiplies so many times. But the point is, folks, what I'm saying, the point is, she basically allows herself to become this form, and like I said in the previous audio video, she allows the instincts of this form to take over and influence her a little bit. And like I said, it all depends on who the writers are. It all depends. It really does. It all depends on who the writers are and what they're doing. That's all it is. And these Trust Machines, this Trust Machine series, when you read it, it's actually pretty good, depending on, like I said, what stories you're going to read and from who. Like I said, this one about the bacteria, that's kind of fun to read, because you kind of see that, being in this new form, the doctor starts referring to herself as not as herself anymore, but as the bacteria. It's pretty cool. It really is. Like I said, sometimes sometimes the plots, like I say, can be romantic drama, that. In fact, if you like romantic drama, this one story, I can't think of the name right now, where a guy basically says, because he wants to be with his ex-wife, right? He wants to be with his ex-lover, so he turns himself into a female because he finds out that she's kind of bisexual. She's basically in favor of the other sex, if you will. So he turns himself into a female version of him. Personality and everything kind of changes, and he basically sets a duration as to how long he wants the transformation to last. And in the end, he basically says, hey, you know what? You want to be happy? I want you to be happy. He puts in, I don't know how much money. He puts in almost like, I think he dials in or something like says something that's like almost forever or 5-6 years or something like that. And he turns himself back into the female. That's what he does. So if you like romantic drama, that's something down your line. And then, of course, like I said, there's romantic comedy as well. There's one couple that goes to a hotel to celebrate their anniversary. A guy turns himself into, a man made of pure chocolate, and everything. And basically, after getting it on, if you will, with his wife, kind of lets the heat melt him into nothing but a puddle of chocolate, which she, is happy to be in and all that. And then in turn, she turns herself into a snake woman or whatever. I know it kind of sounds strange. I know these kind of things sound strange, but this is what makes these stories interesting, is exactly where they go, how far they go. And another thing that's really interesting about it too, I just mentioned how the guy allows himself to get melted into almost a shapeless mass of chocolate or puddle of chocolate thanks to the heater in the hotel. What's another interesting thing about this, unlike other stories, is that if a character gets turned into a food, thanks to the vending machine and eaten and digested, most of the time they come back to normal as long as there's some kind of piece of them left. It's just like one little crumb left, they're back to normal. Simple as that. You know? And it's really unique to kind of see that, because usually in stories where people get turned into food, they're turned into food and then that's it, they're done. I mean, there are stories where characters get turned into food, they get eaten, digested, and they return back to normal. I understand that. I get it. But like I said, this is one of those stories where it's very similar to that. Very similar to that. So it's really interesting. It really, really is. And I highly recommend checking these stories out. I really do. And that's all I'm going to say for it. So I'll try to provide a link down below so you guys can check it out. And let me know what you guys think down below. Give these writers, authors that contribute to the story a look-see themselves. And I will talk to you all later, and I am out.